there any states where women face prosecution for having an abortion?
No.
Are there any states that criminalize miscarriage?
No.
Or that care for a miscarriage?
No.
Are there any states that criminalize removing an ectopic pregnancy?
No.
Are there any states that prohibit life-saving care for the mother?
No.
Are there any states where women have to be actively dying for a doctor to be able to act for her care?
No.
There's been a lot of rhetoric in this that I'm concerned pushes people away from getting access to health care. Vice President Harris, in a speech recently, said that women were being arrested and facing prosecution for experiencing miscarriages. Ms. Sackler, do you know of a single instance where a woman has been arrested for having a miscarriage or getting health care for that?
No. Treatment for miscarriage is allowed under the law.
In June 2022, the US Supreme Court overturned the Roe v. Wade, the landmark ruling that had protected women's rights to abortion for nearly 50 years. With the Dobbs decision, the federal government no longer guaranteed reproductive rights. Instead, these rights were returned to the individual states, many of which rushed to pass draconian laws that have had devastating consequences for women and children. The impact of this ruling has been felt across the nation. Some states imposed near total abortion bans, others heavily restricted access to reproductive care. In a deeply divided country, the rights of women and the lives of children are now subjected to the whims of the state legislators and the politicians who are increasingly disconnected from the real lives these laws affect. The Dobbs decision has fundamentally shifted the landscape for reproductive rights. The question now isn't just about the access to abortion, it's about the very safety of women and children. And with that, we've seen some truly troubling rhetoric come to light. One of the most heart-wrenching stories to emerge after the Dobbs ruling was that of a 10-year-old girl in Ohio, a victim of rape. She was forced to travel out of state for an abortion after her home state passed a restrictive ban. A child, not even in her teens, was a subject to a harrowing journey to receive the medical care she actually needed. This case, while tragic, isn't just an isolated one. These are real consequences when the laws deny a woman or a child the right to make a decision about their own bodies. Dr. Bernard, in an interview, stated, "When I spoke about the 10-year-old, it wasn't just about one child. It was about all of the children who could be affected by the laws like this. These are the laws that fail to protect the victims of sexual violence and force them into situations no one should ever face." Dr. Bernard was quickly vilified for speaking out, but her advocacy was grounded in compassion. She was attacked for simply telling the truth, a truth that we cannot afford to ignore. In the midst of these debates, a shocking statement by a physician in Texas made headlines. The doctor actually claimed that a 9 and a 10-year-old girl are biologically capable of carrying out a pregnancy full term. A statement that outraged across the medical and public communities. This comment, which many consider both scientifically inaccurate and deeply dangerous, came amid the growing wave of anti-abortion rhetoric. It suggested that even young children, those barely past elementary school, could be forced to carry pregnancy full term if they become pregnant, no matter the circumstances. Biologically speaking, while a child's body may be physically carrying out a pregnancy, it doesn't mean that they're equipped to endure lifelong consequences, emotionally, mentally, or physically. Children are not prepared to handle the trauma of pregnancy, childbirth, or motherhood. It's gross misunderstanding of most child development, and it's irresponsible to suggest otherwise. Another heartbreaking case is that of Amanda Zarowski, a Texas woman who was denied medically necessary abortion after her water broke prematurely at 18 weeks. The doctors informed her that the pregnancy was non-viable, but the state's near total abortion law meant that she couldn't receive the medical care she needed until she developed sepsis, putting her life in jeopardy. By the time she was allowed treatment, Amanda was in sepsis shock and she barely survived. Her case underscores the devastating effects of these laws. These don't just restrict abortions, they threaten the lives of women like Amanda, who need medical intervention to survive. And for many women, the trauma doesn't end with pregnancy bans. In states where abortions is restricted, women suffering from miscarriages are often met with suspicion. Instead of receiving compassion care, some are treated as if though the pain is a crime. Law enforcement questions whether the miscarriage was natural or induced, subjecting women to investigations. In their most vulnerable moments, a mother actually states, "I went through one of the hardest things any woman could experience, a miscarriage, and instead of receiving empathy, I was interrogated like a criminal. The loss of my baby wasn't enough for them. I felt like I was being punished for something I couldn't control. The fight for reproductive rights is more urgent than ever. It's not just about abortions. It's about the anatomy of women, the health of children, and protection of families. No woman, no child should be subjected to law that treats them as property or criminals." As the debate over abortion rights continue, the rage across the nation, is essential to remember that these laws have real-world consequences. The right to choose is not a political issue, it's a fundamental human right. And it's a fight and a right we're fighting for.